The larynx is formed by cartilage, formed by muscles, formed by ligaments and membranes. The cartilage of the larynx, this is the thyroid cartilage, and this is lamina of the thyroid cartilage, and the other lamina on the other side. Both lamina, they unite anteriorly, but there is a gap posteriorly, like a book, open book. Each lamina consists of, here is the superior cornea, and this is the inferior cornea, and this is the prominence of the thyroid cartilage, which is called Adam's apple. On the lateral side of the lamina, there is the oblique line on the thyroid cartilage. Below this thyroid cartilage, this is the cricoid cartilage, which has a signet ring appearance. It has an anterior arch and it has a posterior lamina. On this upper border of this posterior lamina, there is the arytenoid cartilage. And this arytenoid cartilage, 2 in number, articulating with the upper border of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage. Each one is a pyramidal in shape. It has a lateral process, or it's called muscular process, through which the muscles are attached. And it has an anterior process. And this anterior process through which the vocal cord is attached. This is the anterior process. And attached to the vocal cord. It's called vocal process. And this is the epiglottis. It is attached to the middle line between the 2 lamina of the thyroid cartilage. It is a leaflet shape and it passes backward. And this is the hyoid bone with the body, the lesser cornea, and this is the greater cornea of the hyoid bone. Regarding the membranes of the larynx. Regarding the membrane of the larynx, this is the hyoid bone, and this is the thyroid cartilage, and this is the membrane. This is the thyrohyoid membrane, which is visited by 2 structures, the internal laryngeal nerve and the superior laryngeal artery, which is a branch of the superior thyroid artery. This is the thyrohyoid membrane. This is a membrane also, this is a cricotracheal membrane between the cricoid cartilage and the trachea. There is another membrane from the epiglottis to the front of the arytenoid cartilage. This is the quadrate membrane. The quadrate membrane. And here between the quadrate membrane and this is the aryepiglottic fold, which is the upper border of this membrane. Aryepiglottic fold, and this is the aryepiglottic fold, and this is the inlet of the larynx. The quadrate membrane forms the medial boundary of the pyriform fossa. This is the pyriform fossa, which is present in laryngopharynx. It's bounded medially by the quadrate membrane and the aryepiglottic fold. While it is laterally, it is bounded by the thyroid lamina and the thyrohyoid membrane, which is based by the recurrent laryngeal nerve and the superior laryngeal artery. This is why the mucosa of the pyriform fossa is supplied by the internal laryngeal nerve. Regarding the muscles of the larynx, the intrinsic muscles which is present in the larynx. This muscle arises from the cricoid cartilage and is inserted into the inferior cornea of the thyroid cartilage. And this is the cricothyroid muscle. which is supplied by the external laryngeal nerve, and it makes the cord tense. So it's responsible for the loud, sharp voice, the cricothyroid muscle. Another muscle which arises from the back of the lamina of the cricoid capsule, this is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. Posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. And this muscle is inserted into the lateral process of the arytenoid cartilage. When this muscle contracts, it abducts the vocal cord. It abducts the vocal cord. Also, there is a muscle from the muscular process, or from this arytenoid to the other arytenoid. This is the oblique interarytenoid muscle, crossing each other. Oblique interarytenoid muscle. This oblique interarytenoid muscle, they help also to adduct the vocal cords. And also, this is the oblique arytenoid muscle. In this specimen, this is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle inserted in the lateral process, and this is the arytenoid cartilage. It has a lateral process, muscular process, and it has also an anterior process which is attached to the vocal cord. And the vocal cord appears in the fresh or in the living tissue, it appears barely white, and the space between the vocal cord is called rima glottis. So, this is the action of the posterior cricoarytenoid. When it contracts, it will draw the lateral process backward like that. So, to rotate the arytenoid cartilage like that. So, it will open the rima glottis. It makes abduction of the vocal cord, which is made by this posterior cricoarytenoid, which rotates the arytenoid cartilage, so it produces abduction of the vocal cord. While the lateral cricoarytenoid and interarytenoid, they draw the arytenoid in the opposite direction, so they will abduct the vocal cord. So abduction is then made by the posterior cricoarytenoid, while abduction is made by lateral cricoarytenoid and the inter or transverse arytenoid muscles. And this is classically the cricothyroid muscle. It is inserted into the angle of the inferior cornea. Into the inferior angle of the inferior cornea. And this membrane is the cricothyroid membrane. And this is the Adam's apple. This is the oblique line of the thyroid lamina. This is the inferior cornea, and this is the superior cornea. And this is the cricoid cartilage. This is the arch, and this is the lamina posteriorly. And from the back of the upper border of the middle line, from the thyroid cartilage arises the epiglottis, which is a yellow elastic cartilage, has the shape of a leaflet shaped cartilage. شكرا.